Welcome to Ranting and Raving. And let's get started with the ranting and raving, shall we? So, the good news is, at least from my perspective, I don't have to end the Saints playlist on this channel with only a single video, because despite their best efforts, the bumbling buffoons that is the Saints front office managed to not close the deal, which has really been their MO the last several years. Don't trade up to go get Patrick Mahomes, even though he's objectively the most talented quarterback we've ever seen and was your number one guy on your board. But let's trade up for Marcus Davenport, who's from a small school and wasn't hyper productive, but God, does he look good in tights. And then you're going to draft a mediocre, fucking awful guard, except he was originally a center, and then you're going to convert him to guard because you already have a Pro Bowl borderline all-pro center. Never addressed the wide receiver position, even though your quarterback was aging. And then to top it all off, your head coach retires, which, you know what, I'm not even going to kill Sean Payton for that. Enough people have already done that. They all make good points. But at the end of the day, the guy was here for, 16 years? He was burnout. Okay. Also probably just didn't want to have to try to clean up the mess he made, which fair. But everything since the moment where Sean said, you know what, I'm out. Huge fucking problem. The head coaching search was a sham, brought in a bunch of really strong candidates. And I didn't have a huge issue with re-signing DA, because if DA was a coordinator on someone else's team and had the same resume, top 5 defense last several years, blah, 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 and we signed him, we'd have been like, yeah, good get. So not a huge issue with that, but it was very much a tone setting, which is what the problem was with. It was, we still think we're a piece or two away, so let's keep the band together, even though the team has been on the downward spiral pretty much since 2018 with Roger Goodell and co, who conveniently just opened an office in LA. Total fucking coincidence. And just spent like $1 billion to get the Rams there. Total fucking coincidence. Decided that let's swallow the whistle on an egregious no call, because we don't really like the Saints and we really need the Rams to get there. So, and the Saints didn't get to go to the Super Bowl. And everything from that, the team has been on a downward trajectory. Now, some of that was because of Drew Brees' health. A lot of it has been because of personnel decisions. And whether you want to call it arrogance, hubris, simply bad analysis, whatever it is, doesn't really matter. It's been bad. And the roster has been on the decline. Of the transcendent, historic, all-time incredible 2017 draft, we only have half of the players on the roster. Now, the good news is half of those players are on the roster still. You still have Lattimore, Ramczyk, and Kamara. And Kamara's probably going to miss a few games because drunk people do dumb drunk things, and he was a drunk person doing dumb drunk things and beat the dog shit out of somebody. But we don't have all the details. And frankly, as we're about to discuss, while it's an asshole move, there's a fucking hierarchy to this shit. And there's dumb shit that you should pay a big ass fucking fine for, and you should pay all that guy's medical expenses, and you should also have to pay him like $500,000. You beat the dog, like you pissed off a celebrity, you got it on camera, you got him to beat the dog shit out of you, whether it was intentional or not, or just two guys that were drunk, or a group of people and one guy that were drunk being drunk idiots, as drunk idiots are known to do. Regardless of the circumstances, you got caught. Give the guy his payday and fuck off. Like, I'm not okaying it in any way, shape, or form, but there are bigger crimes out there. Like, I don't know, sexually assaulting, pressuring, just in every way being an absolute scumbag human being, to 22 women who were willing to come forward and put their name on it. Yeah, that's the quiet part. Newsflash, this shit, when it's serial like this, when it is constant, when it is habitual, everybody doesn't come forward. Sometimes because they're scared, because they're damaged, because they're repressing it, because they got a payoff. There's a 1,000 different variables that it can explain why some people don't come forward. And you know what? They're all valid. And if you want to know why they're so valid, a bunch of Christians clearly never read the fucking book or anything it supposedly stands for, very loud about how Christian they are on Saints Twitter, social media in general, and just in their personal lives. And yet, the moment their favorite football team, ironically named the Saints, has any fucking opportunity of signing a top 3 talent at quarterback, I'm emphasizing the word talent because he is a top 3 talent in the league. All of a sudden, all that hokey shit goes out the window. But he's just horny. No. People that spend tons of hours on Pornhub are just horny. Or millionaires who can afford to fly in literal troves, a literal fucking train of Instagram models, professional escorts, prostitutes, pick it, you name it, strippers. James Harden, Jersey retired at strip clubs. Literally, that's a thing. Look it up. Like, if you're that rich and famous and you're just horny, there's perfectly safe, perfectly reasonable, and here's the really fucking important part, perfectly consensual avenues to get your rocks off. And he chose none of them. He chose to prey, and I am very intentionally using that word, prey upon innocent young women, small business owners, trying to make a living, trying to get their careers going, who think they just landed the big one. Oh my God, a pro athlete. I'm a professional massage therapist. I'm a, personal trainer with, massage background, whatever they were. I don't know all of them personally, so I don't know their exact job titles, and it doesn't matter. They thought they just landed a great payday and an opportunity to get a great referral that's going to boost their career. And instead, they got helicopter dick and Captain Air Hump. And if you think that's crude, again, go look up the fucking case. I am paraphrasing it to the best of my ability. That's who the Saints just spent the last 2 weeks washing themselves, putting the KY on the nightstand, assuming the position and going, please, sir, may I have another? Again, I'm being crude very intentionally. That's what they just spent 2 weeks doing. And if that guy had gotten on this team, I'm not rooting for him anymore. I'm done. I'm done with the Saints. And since I don't want to choose another team, I'm pretty much done with football. I can move on. I choose to be a fan. I can choose not to. It's really not very hard. Now, there is an important question, at least for me personally. Why would I keep rooting for a team that was willing to sign a predatory monster like that? Because I never rooted for the management. I wasn't one of these people on Twitter and social media. Mama Benson, Gail Benson, yeah, female owner, this and that. I have a problem with there being a female owner, just to be clear, at all. And people being proud that there's a female owner, awesome. But understand something. Gail Benson is a shrewd business person. She was a successful business person on her own. She did a lot of the business work when her husband was still alive. She does all the business now. This is a billionaire. No one has ever made $1 billion without a great crime behind it, or several. Whether they're literal, actual, like legal crimes or just moral ones, doesn't really matter. Every great fortune comes at the cost of a great crime. That's, not just a catchphrase. That's just how things work. You cannot accumulate that much wealth and power without cutting corners and taking advantage of people. It doesn't exist. And you certainly can't maintain it. So am I surprised that a billionaire who owns a sports team, and by the way, guys, if anyone who's wondering, like, even the worst sports franchises, highly profitable. These people make money. Don't get that twisted. They make money. How much the owners, every time there's a CBA renegotiating one, it's so expensive. These people make money, even in a market like New Orleans. And actually, in particular a market like New Orleans, because you have such a passionate fan base, because you always have the season tickets sold out, because people always show up and they buy tons of merch and the ratings are high. Trust me, they're doing just fine. There's a reason why they're willing to spend all that cash to use the cap the way the Saints do. It's because it creates a feedback loop. Yeah, they spend heavy on the cap and they dish out a lot of cash. But by doing that, they field a competitive team in a region where if they do that, they make more money. These are shrewd business people. They don't operate at a loss. This is not a fucking charity. It's not just a for fun project. This is a business. I knew that coming in. I understood that coming in. I don't deify these motherfuckers. They're motherfuckers. Again, don't keep it twisted. Can they occasionally do good things? Can they occasionally go to a nice luncheon and say good things and rah, rah, rah? Yeah, of course they can. They're human beings. Human beings are complex creatures. But they're also desensitized. They live 10,000 feet above you. Their viewpoint is completely different. And it is a business, a cold, hard, calculated business. So did the business people go, well, if we have a winning quarterback, our business will make more money. And yeah, we might lose a subset of the fans, but life smokes things because these people have lives and football is their escape. Most of them will get over this pretty quickly. We'll lose some, but a lot of them will come back because, hey, if he throws some touchdowns and he has smooth highlights and their neighbors are excited, they're going to come right back in because that's how people work, especially working class people. These people have been taking advantage of working class people for millennia. And in particular, the last 40 or so years, haven't been taking advantage of them. The KY is empty and they're looking for a refill. So am I mad at the ownership? No, I'm not even disappointed. There's an old parable about the scorpion and the frog. Look it up. They're just being what they are. However, for me personally, I'm hyper competitive. My athletic career ended my senior year in high school when I finally accepted that a 5'10" shooting guard sports career was over. Transition over into MMA, bunch of injuries later. I am now a fat ass with a desk job. Very happy fat ass with a desk job, but nonetheless, not an athlete anymore. Still hyper competitive, need an outlet. So I watch sports instead of doing them. It's my holy place. I love competition. I especially love competition because the idea is group A and group B. Person A, person's B. You have an equal set of rules and equal circumstances, and whoever's better wins. It's pure. No, at least it was. And 2018 happened, and I'm not as invested as I used to be. So actually, thanks for that, Raj. But neither here nor there. I root for the players. Really, more than anything, I root for the fans. I'm a Saints fan because of the fan base and the passion of the fan base. And I root for the players on the field. I don't root for the fucking ownership. Gail Benson, I don't give a shit about Gail Benson. Because I know at the end of the day who and what these people are. I had a lot of respect for Sean Payton because while he didn't do everything perfect, Sean actually put his money where his mouth was a lot. Sean actually stood up for shit and called shit out when it was problematic. And was some of it lip service? I don't know. I don't know the guy personally. But you know what? He gave the lip service and he didn't get busted for doing the other shit. He didn't stand up for what's right and then get caught going to a Trump rally and supporting him while David Duke is rooting for the guy. There's no talking your way out of that. You're either okay with racism or you're not. You're either okay with a sexual abuser or you're not. There's a sexual abuser on the team. I'm not. So I'm really, really, really happy that even though the Saints organization did everything they could to try to sign this fucker, he ain't on the team. So I can still root for them. Feel a little bit dirty doing it, but I'll be okay and I'll get over it. And you know what? There's probably going to be a lot of female Saints fans out there going to feel a lot dirtier than me, and they're not going to get over that. And anyone who watches this, fucking support them. Really. Because, again, as I said with Ryan, I'm a white male. It's easy for me to be outraged on someone else's behalf for issues that I will never have to face. That's just the reality of things. Deshaun Watson has to be rich and famous to get away with you know, what a fucking numbnuts pussy ass bitch from whatever the fuck state he came from, who crossed 2 state lines and murdered 2 people and got off scot-free because a bunch of famous people got behind him and made it a liberal woke issue. That's the benefit of being a white male. Sorry, just keeping it real. If you don't like facts, you're in the wrong place. So, yeah, I'm frustrated. I'm annoyed. I'm not disappointed. I'm not surprised with the organization. And all of that said, and now you guys have a real good idea why this is called ranting and raving. If you're still tuning in, we'll get into the funnier part. The Saints spent pre-free agency and all of free agency so far trying to bend themselves over on the bed, only to find out that he went to the room next door and fucked the hotter chick. And yeah, actually the Browns do have a better roster than the Saints. If you're not just putting on the fan goggles, they have more weapons. They have more weapons on defense. Their defense is actually, from a talent perspective, not that incomparable to ours. And they have a higher ceiling and they have fewer holes. And you now have a floor raiser in Deshaun Watson, even though he's a gargantuan piece of shit. People forget the Browns were legitimately and authentically chosen as a potential Super Bowl candidate last year, and the Saints were not, and both teams for very good reason. I know we're deluded in thinking this is still the 2017 and the 2018 Saints and even the 2019 Saints, but it's not. It's the 2022 Saints, and this roster is on the decline. We got a lot of fucking holes on it. Speaking of holes, how do you fill them? Well, a great way is free agency. Whoops. You allowed all of free agency to be held tight, screwed up your cap even a little bit further. Oh, we're 30 million under. Could be even more if you'd extended Tehran ahead of time, but you let the whole Deshaun Watson thing happen. So now you got an extra bunch of dead money. But most importantly, a bunch of the good free agents are already gone, and at the positions where you had holes. Now, here's some good news. Let's start at tight end. There's 35-year-old Jimmy Graham. It would be a reunion for the fields. And you know what? For this Saints team that's all about nostalgia and keeping the band together, and God, this team was great 3 years ago. Let's just run them back because that means they'll be good tomorrow. Would be a great signing for them. You have Eric Ebron. He's a world-class disappointer of fan bases, but he's also a lot better than any other tight end we have on the roster. So he's an option. We actually have one guy who I actually do really like, which is Gerald Everett. By far, I think he's the best option remaining. He's 27 years old, still a free agent, at least as the time of this recording. And if you can sign him, you at least don't have to reach at that position in the draft. He's got some good talent, some good ability to be productive. Don't bring up the Jared Cook name. He's 34, washed, and fuck that guy. Yes, I know he's better than what we have, but still, fuck that guy. And Kyle Rudolph is 32 and massively on the decline. It wouldn't be worth the money that you would pay for him. And Gronk is adorable, but A, if he does come back, he's going to sign with Brady for nothing. And B, no, see what I said before about like Jared Cook. Like he's closer to wash than he's not. But the good news, hey, yeah, the Saints. Our biggest hole is wide receiver by miles and miles and miles. Julio, he's 33 and he ain't going to sign here. Jarvis Landry, kind of washed, but hey, yeah, he went to LSU. That's like an extra 5 points in talent because he went to the local college. No, it doesn't actually work that way. Okay. Yeah, juice is kind of out of juice. Now, is that on Baker? Who knows? Maybe, but he was a slow guy who won on crafty routes and being really strong, and he's 29. He might not age well. Will Fuller, constantly hurt. Don't want to talk about him. Jamison Crowder, interesting. 28 years old, somewhat productive. As a number 3, could be a really good player. Probably should try to sign him sooner rather than later. Odell Beckham, coming off an ACL, might still be an impact player, but who knows? But hey, also went to LSU, but actually still a productive player, can still make plays. Maybe he signs, probably not. And then going through the list, Traquan is trash. Don't re-sign him. They probably will because they're idiots. The only guy remaining, Marquez Valdes-Scantling. And honestly, I like him. He's a bit of a deep threat. He can move down the field. I actually think he's a decent complement to Mike. And if the Saints manage to retain Jameis, or better yet, retain Jameis and then go get a rookie, I I think he would be the best option. If you can bring him in on a reasonable contract to be your number 2 guy behind Mike, you can bring in a rookie as well somewhere in the draft. And those things together, especially if you get a guy like Howell, if you don't trade up for Malik, okay, there's an opportunity there, but that's it. That's the list. Like it was slim pickings already. The pickings are slimmer, and you're now deep into free agency. Tehran's almost definitely going to be gone. And even if you do bring him back, you're going to bring him back at more money, but maybe you can bring him back. And when he plays, he's still a good player. But you basically put the entirety of free agency on hold to bring in this piece of shit that you shouldn't bring in anyway. But hey, money over morals. It's not a lot to be optimistic about, but hope is not dead. If they can sign Everett and they can sign Valdes-Scantling and bring in a couple of low to mid-level free agents, especially if they could sign Valdes-Scantling and Crowder, I would actually feel really good about this receiving core, honestly. With Mike, even if Mike is 85, 90% of Mike, understanding that like 85, 90% in the NFL, like a 10% drop is going from like an all pro to like just, fringe pro bowler, but still like, even if that's what he is, he's still a great, like he basically becomes Colston. Okay. Well, if you add a guy like, Scantling there and a guy like Crowder, like, no, you can work with that. And like a quarterback like Jameis is not a floor raiser. He's not, that's why he's not special. That's not the top tier quarterbacks raise the floor of the team. Jameis is not a floor raiser, but Mike is. Because Mike is a guy who catches everything. He moves the chains. He keeps you on schedule. And Jameis is a playmaker. He's one of the only a few quarterbacks have ever thrown for 5,000 yards. Like, it's still a thing. It still matters. Okay. Is he above the Eli Manning line if he can keep the turnovers relatively in control and you put some playmakers around him? Maybe. It's not a 0% chance that happens. Would it be hilarious if the Saints actually made the Super Bowl with Jameis Winston after trying to let Deshaun Watson give them long, deep strokes deep into the night? Fucking hilarious. Would it also be hilarious if they went 4-15 or whatever the fuck the new schedule is, 4-13? Because their whole goal this entire offseason is, just keep whatever Sean had. That includes, we love our room. It was coach speak for I'm not going to throw my guys under the bus, and I fucked up, and my team, my wide receiver group is dog shit. And I thought Mike was going to be healthy, and he was going to make up for it all like he did in 2019. And oops, I fucked up. Because after 2018, I was kind of fried, and I was just lying to myself. And that's the actual reason why I retired, is because I was fried after 2018, and I just need to recharge my mental batteries. Yeah, I can talk without breathing, guys. It's the thing. But yeah, that's pretty much where we are. So there's your rant. There's a little bit of raving. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, and if you're still around at this point, give it a like, give it a subscribe. Feel free to comment. If you don't like it, still subscribe. And give it a comment and tell me how much I suck every time I post a video. Keep in mind, this channel is not just for Saints. There's going to be some other stuff coming on here pretty soon too. Have a great one.